Retired Johns Hopkins University neurosurgeon and best-selling author Ben Carson. He's considering a run for the Republican presidential nomination. And Senator Bernie Sanders of Vermont, he's an independent, but he might run as a Democratic presidential candidate. To both of you, thanks very much for joining us. Dr. Carson, was there anything you heard from the president tonight that you loved?
Well, there were many things that he said that I think I and many people on the conservative side would agree with.
Like what?
For instance, some of the trade promotion. I think education. We're all in favor of good education. The concept of equal wages for men and women. You know, I'm glad to hear him say these things because all the women working in the White House should be delighted because they know they're getting a raise tomorrow. And, you know, there are return on investment by investing in people in our community. These are things that conservatives love. The real question is, how do we get there? And I love it when he talks about fair taxes. I've been talking about that for a long, long time. The question is, what do you consider fair taxes? These bad people over here, let's take their money and give it to these good people over here? Or do you consider fair taxation proportionality?
And you oppose any increase in taxes on the wealthy, right?
Not necessarily. Because here's the way I would do it. I would make it proportional on everybody and eliminate all loopholes. Right now, people who can afford fancy lawyers and accountants sometimes do not pay their fair share.
Senator Sanders, what do you think?
Of the speech in general?
No. What do you think about this new class warfare debate?
Well, I
that
think
clearly the president is putting forward a very progressive or liberal...
Well, I think we have had class warfare in this country for many, many years. And that is that the wealthiest people and the largest corporations in this country have been at war against the middle class and working families. Large corporations have been shutting down in this country even when they're making money, shipping out jobs to China. They've been resisting the effort of workers to be able to form unions. They have worked with their lobbyists here in Washington, Wall Street, and corporate America to make sure that the wealthiest people and the largest corporations enjoy obscene loopholes and tax breaks. And we have a situation now, Wolf, where since the Wall Street crash, 95% of all new income in this country goes to the top 1%. We have a situation where the top 0.1% owns more wealth than the bottom 90%. And I think many Americans see this country evolving into an oligarchy where a handful of billionaires have unbelievable power while the middle class continues to disappear.
Yeah, but part of that is because of some of the policies that we've had in place for a while. And I'm not, you know, blaming this on one party or another. I'm talking about policy issues here. You know, we have artificially suppressed interest rates. Now, what are the implications of that? People who used to work, Mr. Joe at the corner store or in the factory, put 5% of their money away in the bank for 10, 15, 30 years, and it accumulated. And it accumulated enough so that they could retire. Banks had incentive to make loans to ordinary people. What incentive do they have now to do that?
Let's talk about the economy, Dr. Carson, because I want to know, the president seeming to have some stride in his step when it comes to the fact that the economy is better than it was. Unemployment under 6%. It was at 10% at one point. The Dow Jones is 17,000. Obviously, the GDP has increased significantly.
Let me talk about that.
Well, let's talk about it. I mean, do you give President Obama credit for the economy having improved so much?
Well, first of all, you say what employment is down to. I'm sure you recognize that you can make that number anything you want. The one that is very difficult to manipulate is the other one, right? That looks at the proportion of people who can actually work and the ones who are working, called the labor force participation rate.
And what do you make of that, Senator Sanders?
I think
dropped out of the economy.
Look, number one, there is no doubt that the economy today is much, much better than when Bush left office. I mean, it's hard to argue that. We were losing 700,000 jobs a month. We're gaining 300,000 jobs a month. But here's the point. When they talk about official unemployment, which is what the president talked about, that's a different number than real unemployment. If you include those people who have given up looking for work and people are working part-time, real unemployment remains at 11%, youth unemployment 18%, African-American youth unemployment over 25%. So, yes, we are better than where we were 6 years ago, no question. But anyone who thinks the economy today is where it should be for working people is terribly mistaken.
Sounds like there's some agreement on this table.
There is agreement, and this is what we need. We need to be truthful and not just, throwing out numbers that make our side look good. And that's the way that we're going to solve problems.
But let me just throw in there. I trust you will not deny that the economy today is far, far better than it was when Bush left office.
I will agree that it has improved, yes.
Well, it was pretty awful at that point.
Yeah,
All of us remember there was a great recession going on. I want to let you guys go, but quickly, are you running for the Democratic presidential nomination?
I am giving thought to running, but I have not made that final decision.
Are you running for the Republican presidential nomination?
Just ditto what he said.
More agreement. More agreement.
All right, a lot of agreement. Dr. Ben Carson, thanks.